Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be about how to start practicing self-compassion. Stay tuned. But before I jump into today's content, I want to remind you to please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below if you aren't subscribed to my channel yet. I release 2 new mental health videos every single week, and I would love it if you became part of this community. So being nice and being compassionate towards ourselves can be really, really hard. And it's interesting because even if we aren't good at self-compassion, it doesn't mean that we aren't compassionate people. We usually can treat other people with compassion and struggle with treating ourselves with compassion. So how can we get started? How can we start practicing how to be kinder to ourselves and have a more positive attitude about who we are? My first tip is to treat yourself how you would treat a friend. This means being empathetic towards yourself and kind towards yourself the way that you would be towards someone that you care about. And this is something that I often teach my patients at work as well. When they start doing the negative self-talk and beating themselves up about things, I ask them, would you say these things to a friend? And most of them look at me like, heck no, I wouldn't talk to a friend like this. Okay, then why are you talking to yourself like this? And in reality, we need to learn how to be friends with ourselves. Our relationship with ourselves is the most important relationship that we're ever going to have. Practice talking kindly to yourself, forgiving yourself when you make mistakes. Care for yourself as you would treat others. My second tip is to practice self-awareness. And a good way to practice self-awareness is tapping into our inner self-talk. What is the internal dialogue that we are saying about ourselves? And a lot of the times when we examine our internal talk, we will find that it's pretty negative. We are very good at beating ourselves up more than anyone else will. Our internal dialogue can be absolutely terrible, especially if we struggle with things like depression. So a tip that I have for practicing self-awareness is using something we call releasing statements. Releasing statements help us become less judgmental of our inner feelings and our inner experiences. So when we catch ourselves having a negative thought about ourselves, like I'm such a horrible person for being upset in this situation, we're going to turn it around and say, it's okay that I'm upset right now. Something happened that bothered me. Allowing ourselves to be okay with all sorts of different emotions and feelings is definitely a step forward in learning self-acceptance and self-awareness. Speaking of self-acceptance, my second tip for practicing self-awareness is self-acceptance. That's accepting all of us, everything that we are, embracing our perceived shortcomings and our strengths, embracing that we are people and we're going to have shortcomings and we're going to make mistakes, and realizing that that does not define us. Third tip is to practice mindfulness. And if you don't know what mindfulness is a practice of being present in our moment and being non-judgmental about what's going on in our environment and how we're feeling. And there's a lot of practices out there on mindfulness, everything from guided mindfulness to mindfulness of breath. YouTube has a ton of resources when it comes to learning how to practice mindfulness. It can really help facilitate that self-acceptance, and it can be an excellent coping skill for things like depression and anxiety. It can really help you feel less stressed and overall just foster better mental health. Tip number 4 is to try not to behave in a way that you're predicting that you're going to behave in certain situations. In other words, we want to practice not judging ourselves before an event occurs. So an example of this would be, I get really crabby and grouchy at the grocery store. May or may not be true for me. But when you're on the way to the grocery store and you're amping yourself up about how crabby and grouchy you're going to be at the grocery store when you're grocery shopping, you're much more likely to be crabby and grouchy at the grocery store, and it's going to be a negative experience. This is kind of the idea behind a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like when we think something is going to happen, we're more likely to make it happen. And we're really good about prejudging situations all the time, or how we're going to behave in certain situations. This is very, very common to do. But the more that you can point this out and start to counteract that, the more positive experiences you're going to have, and it really will help with self-compassion and just overall happiness and better well-being. Number 5 is to try to not tie yourself to outside influences. A lot of the way that we behave actually stems from what we think other people are going to think about us, or how we think other people think that we should behave. That was a really big mouthful. In other words, sometimes when we have a piece of cake or a brownie, we beat ourselves up for having that, right? Because sweets, they might make us gain weight, and it's not acceptable to other people for us to gain weight. That self-directed anger actually comes from those societal pressures that we need to look a certain way or maintain a certain weight. So choosing not to tie our happiness to outside influences is really, really a big step in learning how to be kinder towards ourselves. Number 6, my last tip is to reach out to other people. While we don't want to act in a way that is influenced by how we think we're going to be perceived by other people, it can be really helpful to reach out to others to know that we're not alone in our experiences. When we open up and we talk to other people that we trust and that are healthy for us, we can learn to understand that a lot of people have been through similar things that we've been through. A lot of people have experienced pain at different points in their life. And this can really help us feel connected and feel less isolated and alone. Sometimes when we're struggling, the best thing that we can hear is "me too." Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you liked it, again, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below for 2 new mental health videos every week, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.